Parks and Recreation. And in this series of 4 programs, we're going to be dealing with the basics of guitar playing. Now, today we're going to be mostly dealing with how to position the left hand on the guitar. And though this program is aimed mainly at beginners, the advanced player could also pick up a few techniques here by watching these series of 4 programs. Now, what I'm going to start with is I'm going to define some of the terms that we're going to be using so that everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about when I use these words. This is the body of the guitar, this whole section here. And the portion that sticks out of the body here is called the neck of the guitar. Now on the neck, we have these metal bars that go all the way down the neck here, embedded in the neck, and those are called the frets. And the frets have numbers. This is the 1st fret, this is the 2nd fret, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and we just count on down the line with the frets. The left hand fingers have numbers. This is the 1st finger, this is the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th finger. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, just like you would count the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The thumb does not count on the left hand because we do not use it to play. Also, the strings on the guitar have numbers. Starting with the bottom string, this is the 1st string, this is the 2nd string, 3rd string, 4th, 5th, and 6th string. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th string. You count from the bottom up. Okay, so what I would like to do is, just so that the people at home know exactly what I'm talking about, I'd like for everybody to show the 5th fret. Just press down to the 5th fret. I'll give you a second to count to it. And you should be pressing down right here. You just count fret 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's where you should be, at the 5th fret. Also, show me the 3rd finger on the left hand. If we can get everybody here in my little class here to show the 3rd finger, just stick it out. Okay, it should be this finger right here on the left hand. That's the 3rd finger. All right. Now, show me the 5th string. The 5th string. You should press down on this string right here. This is the 5th string. You count from the bottom up. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. It's very important to get these 3 concepts sorted out in your mind. We have strings, fret, and finger, because these are the 3 terms that we're going to be using in order for me to direct you around the neck of the guitar. String, fret, and finger. Okay? So, now that we have that out of the way, what I'd like to do is, first of all, show you how to hold the guitar, because this position that I'm in here is the best position to hold the guitar in. You should rest the guitar on the left leg. Your feet should be about shoulder width apart, and you should rest this portion of the guitar here on the left leg. Now this is what it's for. This curve here is so that the guitar rests here. The guitar should be slightly off the chair. You don't want it on the chair, otherwise it's going to be off balance. So you want it to be off the chair like this and on a 45-degree angle. And this is the best position. The guitar will not move around on you. If you hold it on this leg or something like that, you can see that it's always off balance and that it's going to be moving around on you, and you do not want the left hand to be holding the guitar up, so you want it to be free to play. So make sure that you put the guitar on the left leg. Now for the ladies, sometimes this is not the most comfortable position, so we have an alternate position. You can use this position if you like, but also the ladies can cross the legs like this and hold the guitar right on that left leg also, and that should about amount to the same position. It'll be on a 45-degree angle and it will not move around on you. So you have this alternate position for the ladies. But this is the position that the men will be using, so this is the position that I'm going to be using being a man. All right. Now, what I'm going to do now is describe to you a finger exercise. Now this finger exercise is going to help you position the left hand on the neck of the guitar correctly. It's also going to stretch out the muscles in the left hand and strengthen the muscles up in the left hand, because we need them to be a lot stronger than they are. You're going to be using muscles that you've never used before. And what is going to happen is the first few days it's going to be pretty painful as far as the left hand goes here, because you are using muscles you haven't used, and whenever you use them that way, there's going to be a little bit of physical discomfort. this will go away after you practice for a few days, so don't think it's going to stay there all the time. It's going to go away. So the more you practice, the less the discomfort will be. Now, just as a general outline of what we're going to be doing here, the fingers should always press down on the strings right behind the fret here, and with the very tips of the fingers like this. We should never lay the fingers down flat like this on the neck of the guitar. They should always be up straight and with the tips like this, so that when we press down, we get a good clear sound. So the fingers should always be before the frets and pressing down with the very tips of the fingers. And that's what this exercise is going to be designed to do, to get your fingers positioned like this so that all of them are up with the tips. Notice how the fingers are all curled also. They're not in like this collapse. That's a very weak position to play from. So we want all the fingers, the joints in the fingers, pointed outward like this, okay? And this is the position we're going to try to attain. So this is what you should be looking for when we do this exercise. But we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. So what I wanted to do here is just show you how it should look. Now we're going to take it apart and show you exactly how to attain this position. Now, the position of the left-hand thumb is very important. It's very important. We cannot just put the thumb anywhere. It has to be held in a certain position throughout this exercise. And that position is right in the middle of the neck. Now, by middle of the neck, just pretend that there's a line going right down the center of the neck of the guitar. The tip of the thumb should be right on that line. And you should have the thumb straight. Don't bend it at the joint like this. Keep it flat and right against the neck. And when you hold the guitar in the position that you're going to play from like this, the thumb should be pointed straight up towards the ceiling, okay? Now, we never want this thumb to move. We do not want the thumb to go like this. We don't want the thumb to come out here and hug the guitar. We don't want it to go like that. We want the thumb to remain here in the middle of the neck and pointed straight up at all times. Now, this is easier said than done, because when you put your finger here and you hold it like that and get it in the position to play, you're going to realize that it feels kind of funny, especially for people who have never played out of this position before. So the tendency is going to be for that thumb to move. As you're playing here, the thumb will probably do what you don't want it to do. So if you see it go like this, if you see it come out here and hug the guitar, if you see it there, bring it right here to the middle of the neck, because everything we do from this day on is going to be done with the thumb in this position. So you have to get used to it. It's going to feel funny, but after a few days of practice, it'll start to feel a little bit more comfortable, and in a couple of weeks, you probably won't even remember how funny it feels. Okay, so that's the position for the left-hand thumb. Now the hand should be held up high here, well above the neck of the guitar. You should form like a V here between the thumb and the hand so that the fingers can reach any part of the neck easily. Now, we don't want the hand to be low down here. We don't want to bring the hand down as we're playing. So the hand should be up nice and high here, and the thumb should be positioned in the middle and pointed straight up. And this is how we're going to play the exercise. We're going to start with our first finger, and we're going to press down on the first string at the first fret, like this. And make sure that the finger is up with the tip, that it's not down flat like this, but that it's up nice and straight. Every joint in the finger is pointed outward like this, and that when we press down, we get a good clear sound. And you should press right behind the fret. You don't want to press on top of the fret or too far in back of the fret. Right behind the fret and with the tips of the fingers, so that when we press down, the sound is clear. Now, if you're getting a thud like this, or you're getting a buzz like that, that means you're not pressing hard enough. It means you have to put more pressure down on that string. And it might hurt a little bit because at first the fingertips are kind of soft, but don't let that throw you. Press down good and hard until the finger touches the neck of the guitar, and we get that good clear sound like that, because that's what we're going for here. Okay, so we're going to do that on the first string at the first fret with the first finger. After we do that, we're going to hold this finger down. We do not want to move. We don't want to lift the finger. We don't want to do anything to that finger except hold it right there. And then we're going to stretch out the second finger to the second fret, still on the first string, still on the first string. Now, You want a big space between the fingers here. You do not want them touching like that. That is not stretching out. You're kind of just positioning your finger there, but you're not opening the muscles in the hand. And we want to open up these muscles. We want to loosen them up. So make sure that there's a big space between the fingers. We don't want them touching at all. Okay, and then we're going to press down with that second finger, and we're going to hit the first string again, like this. Okay, we're just going to strike that first string. Then, holding both of those down, we're going to position the third finger at the third fret, also stretching it out. Big space between the fingers, and we're going to hit the first string again, like this. Finally, and this is the hardest one, is getting that pinky out there, that fourth finger to the fourth fret, and pressing down and playing that first string again to see what kind of a sound we're getting. Now notice again how my hand looks. There's a big space between each finger. None of the fingers are touching like this. Big space between the finger. The fingers are all up with the tips and right behind the respective frets. Now we're going to do this on the first string. We're going to do it on the second string, the third string, the same thing on the fourth string, fifth, and sixth string. And when we get to the sixth string, we're going to go back to the first and do it over and over again. Remember, throughout this exercise, do not move that thumb. The thumb should remain there in the middle of the neck and pointed straight up at all times. Okay. Now what I'd like you at home to do now is to try this exercise along with us here at the studio and see if you can position the fingers exactly the way that I've showed you here. And we're going to use some of my students here to demonstrate this exercise. Now, it's very important that you do this correctly, because if you don't do it correctly, this exercise is not going to do much good for you at all. So pay close attention to how the left hand looks as we're doing this. We're going to do it one finger at a time, very slowly. And that's another thing. It's very important in the beginning to do everything slowly. Do everything slowly. Don't try to go through these things fast, because your fingers are not strong enough to do it fast. And we want to get them strengthened up. So slowly, very slowly. So we're going to start one finger at a time here. Okay, first of all, remember to position the left hand thumb in the middle of the neck and point it straight up. Now the hands should look exactly like these people have here. Now hold your fingers up like this, okay? Just to show them how the hand should look, all right? Notice how the hand is well away from the neck of the guitar. It's not here touching like that. And that's the position that we should start from. And that's the position that we should keep throughout the exercise, okay? So let's start now with the first finger. We're going to position that finger on the first fret of the first string, okay? Now make sure that the hand is still held up high here and that the finger is curled. And we're going to press down on that first string, give it a good hard pressure, and we'll hit it together. Let's hear what it sounds like. Go. Hit it. Okay, that's what it should sound like. We shouldn't have any thuds, buzzes, or anything else. We want a nice, clear sound. Remember, if you are getting a thud, that means that you're not pressing down hard enough. It means you have to put more pressure down on that string. Okay? Now, let's hold that finger down, and now we're going to stretch out the second finger to the second fret, still on the first string. On the first string. Okay? Now notice how there's a big space between the fingers here on all of their hands. There should be, Margaret. All right? Okay. Now, we're going to press down on that first string again, and we're going to hit the first string with the pick. Hit it. Okay? Very good. All right. Then we're going to hold that finger, those two fingers down, and we're going to stretch out the third finger to the third fret. Okay? Third finger to the third fret. Also up with the tips. Now make sure that there's a big space between the fingers here. All right? We don't want to hold this down like this. We don't want the fingers touching. We want a big space between them and that finger up with the tip. Okay, so hit that one now. Okay, now comes the hard part. The fourth finger to the fourth fret. Now let's get that pinky slightly more up with the tips like that. Okay? And try not to let the other fingers get closer together. There you go. Stretch it out and get that fourth finger up with the tips also. And don't let it collapse like that. Keep the joint pointed outward. All right, now press down and let's hit that first string again. Whoops. There you go. Okay, now if at home you're having trouble with this, exercise, it looks very easy. It looks very easy to do, but it's not. It's going to take a lot of practice to attain this position. So if you're having a lot of trouble and you're saying, oh, I just can't do it, don't get discouraged, because it's going to take a lot of practice in order to get this position. And in the next few shows that we're going to be doing, we're going to give you more exercises to strengthen up those fingers, okay? Now this is on the first string. Let's do it on the second string now, okay? Position the finger, first finger on the second string at the first fret, and let's hit that string and let's hear what we have. Good, okay? Now, hold that finger down, stretch the second finger out to the second fret. Also on the second string now. Hit just the second string by itself. Go ahead. Good. We want that clear sound. Now add the third finger at the third fret and hit it. Okay? And then stretch that fourth finger out. There you go. Now hit it. All right. We're looking for the good clear sound, just like these people here are playing it. No buzzes, no thuds. All right? Now we go to the third string. Start with the first finger on the third string at the first fret. All right? And we press down and play that note. Okay. Now, stretch the second finger out to the second fret and hit it. Okay? The third finger. Hit it. And finally the fourth finger. But don't lift those fingers, Margaret. Okay? Hold them down. Right? We don't want to lift them. And that's a mistake that a lot of people do in the beginning when they try to get that fourth finger down, is lift those fingers. So don't do that, okay? Especially you at home. Okay, now let's do the fourth string. Start on the fourth string with the first finger at the first fret, press down, play it. Okay? And then stretch that second finger out, open it up, hit it. Now stretch the third finger, hit it, and finally the fourth finger. Okay. And you would do the same thing on the fifth string and the sixth string. So let's go a little quicker here. Start on the fifth string, hit that first finger, hit it. Okay? Second finger, press the third finger down, fourth, right, and then go to the sixth string, do the same thing. Third finger, fourth finger. Now hold your fingers down. Now as a review here, just so that you know how to practice this correctly, notice the thumbs are all in the middle. I know it might be kind of hard to see from this angle, but all the thumbs are in the middle and pointed straight up. Notice how the fingers are all up with the tips, Barnaby, right? And that they're stretched out. Big space between the fingers on everybody's hand, okay? That's the position that we want to attain. Again, it looks easier than it is, so don't let it throw you if you're having trouble with it. The main thing is always be conscious of where the thumb is. If you see the thumb move, like this or like this, out here, hug the guitar, whatever, bring it back there to the middle, because everything's got to be done with that thumb there in the middle and pointed straight up, okay? The fingers all up with the tips and right before the respective frets. And if you do that, this exercise will do more for your left hand than anything that I have ever experienced in my 17 years of playing guitar. So it's a good exercise. It's a good exercise for beginners. It's a good exercise if you've been playing for 17 years. It doesn't matter how long you've been playing. It's a great warm-up for the left hand. So this is the first thing that you should really be concentrating on in the next few weeks. And another thing about practice, some people pick up the guitar once a week and play it and expect to have results. This is not possible. You have to practice every single day, and especially in the beginning, at least a half an hour a day. Because if you don't, you're never going to train the muscles to do what you want them to do. Because the guitar playing is just using muscles. It's just like an acrobat or somebody that's going to train for the Olympics or whatever. They have to practice day after day, hour after hour, in order to train their muscles to do what they want them to do. It's the same way when you play the guitar. So make sure that you sit down every day and get some practice, and if you want to see the results. Okay, don't expect to pick it up once a week and get your hand like these people here. These people have been working at it a while. Okay? So make sure that you practice every single day. All right, now what I want to do with the remainder of the time is I wanted to deal now with another area of guitar playing. What we've been doing here up to this point in the finger exercises, we've been playing individual notes. on individual strings. We're pressing down on one string, one fret at a time. What we're going to do now is we're going to study chords. Chords. And I'm going to have to go to the board here to show you what I mean by chord. And in particular, a group of chords called the major chords. Major chords. Okay. Now, what do I mean by chord? Well, I mean simply this. We're going to be pressing down now on a series of strings with a number of fingers. We're not going to press down on just one string at a time. We're going to press down on several strings at once, and we're going to strike several strings at once, just like that. And that's what a chord is. A chord is pressing down on several different strings and hitting them all at the same time. Now, there are different types of chords. There are major chords, minor chords, seventh chords, all different types of chords. The first group that we are going to be studying are called the major chords. Major chords. Now, I always like to compare this word major to people's last names, in that everybody has a first name and a last name. Okay, major would be this family of chords' last names. Okay, everybody in the same family has the same last name, so all the chords in this group are going to have the last name of major. And just like everybody in a certain family have different first names to tell them apart, the chords are going to have different first names, and we give them letter names like C, D, and so on. We're going to learn them in alphabetical order, starting with C major. We're going to learn them C, D, E, F, G, except after G comes A and then B. Okay? C, D, E, F, G, A, B. That's the order that we're going to learn these chords in, because it's easy for you to remember their names in alphabetical order. Now, in order to show you how to play these chords, we also have to learn how to read something called the chord diagram. Chord diagram. Now, I'm sure you've heard that word diagram. Anybody know what that means? You should know what it means. What does it mean?
It means just like a little symbol that stands for what you want to.
Yeah, or in other words, to put it simpler, it's a picture. It's a picture of something. When we draw a picture to try and get somebody to do something or to get an idea across, that's what a diagram is. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be drawing the picture of what a chord looks like when we play it on the guitar, okay? And we have to know how to read these things. You're going to see them in a lot of books. If you pick up a book or something at the store, you're going to see these chord diagrams, and they're very important. And we're going to be using them to learn the major chords. Now let me show you how to draw a chord diagram, because if you can't draw them, you're not going to be able to copy them. So we have to learn how to do it from step one. First of all, we have lines going down like this, and there's 6 of them. Okay? And those represent the strings. The 6 lines going down vertically like this represent the 6 strings. After you draw the 6 lines, then you connect them at the top like this, okay? And then we put a little lines going up here representing the top of the guitar, okay? Now, those are the strings, but our guitar is missing something. It's missing the frets. So we have to draw in the frets like this. Okay? And then, out here, we put these numbers, 1 and 3. Now, what does that mean? Well, that tells you the fret numbers. That tells you the fret numbers. Those are the fret numbers. What that means is that instantly, when you look at this, you can tell that this is the first fret and this is the third. Now, we usually don't put every fret in there. We usually skip a fret. Otherwise, it gets kind of be an eyesore with all these numbers out here. So we usually skip a fret so that when you look at that, you know instantly that you're at the first fret here, okay? And that this is the third. So if that's the first and that's the third, what must this be?
Second.
Yeah, very good, okay? So that's exactly why we put these fret numbers out here. Okay, so always put the fret numbers. I've seen a lot of people that don't do that, and it can get very confusing, especially later on when you get into the more advanced chords and everything. You have to put the fret numbers out there, so don't leave them off. They're very important. Now, when we read this thing, we read it from right to left, okay, kind of backwards. This is the first string here. This is the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth string, okay? A lot of people get this confused. They start to read it this way, but this is the first string. Now, it's kind of like looking at the guitar if we were to hold it up in this position, okay? The first string would be over here, the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So that's what we're doing. We're looking at it just as if we held the guitar up like this. All right. Now, we got our strings, we got our frets, we got everything we need except for our fingers. All right? We need something here to represent where to put the fingers, at what string, at what fret. And we use dots. We use dots to represent where to put the fingers. And we always put the dots right where the fret meets the string, so that there's no confusion as to what fret and what string that we're on. And then we put numbers above these dots. I hope we have a lot of math majors out there. A lot of math majors, because we use numbers a lot here. This tells you to use the first finger here. This tells you to use the second finger here. And this tells you to use the third finger here. Okay, these are your finger numbers. Finger numbers. Okay? So, we have our fret numbers out here. We have our finger numbers here. So the first finger is going to go on what string here?
Second.
Second string. See, it's right on the second string. This is the first string, that's the second string. At what fret?
The first fret.
The first fret, right? So you're going to press down behind the first fret on the second string. So let's see if we can do that. Another reminder, keep the thumbs in the middle, right? Pointed straight up. Check those thumbs, because the chords also have to be played from that same position that we learned in the finger exercise a few minutes ago. So hold those thumbs in the middle. Hold those thumbs in the middle, okay? First finger goes on the second string at the first fret. Where does the second finger go?
The fourth.
On the fourth string at what fret?
Second.
Second fret, okay? So go ahead and put the second finger there, okay? All right. Now, the third finger goes where?
On the fifth string.
On the fifth string at what fret?
Third.
Third fret, okay? On the third fret. So that is our first chord that we're going to learn. And that chord is called C major. So we always put the name of the chord right on top here, so you know what to call this thing. That chord is C major. Think of C as the first name, major as the last name, okay? C major. So when I ask you what the name of the chord is, you're going to tell me what?
C major.
C major, okay? C major. All right. So let's press down on those strings. Press down on those strings. And let's hit the first 5 strings together. The first 5 strings from the 5th string on down. Hit it. Okay, you should get a good clear sound. Now, a lot of you at home who have never tried these chords before are probably going to get some thuds. Don't let that throw you. You have to keep working on this until you strengthen and stretch those fingers out far enough. Notice on their hands how the fingers are up with the tips, just like in that finger exercise. That they're right behind the frets and there's big space between the fingers. This is what we want to attain also when we play these chords, okay? So be looking for that. So this is C major, and that's how to play it, okay? We have the first finger on the second string at the first fret, the second finger on the fourth string at the second fret, and the third finger on the fifth string at the third fret, okay? This is the C major chord. Now we probably have time for about one more here. So let's go to the next chord. After C comes what, class?
D.
Oh, you're all such smart people. Here we go. Okay, this is D major. D major. And D major is going to be played like this, right? D major is going to be played with the first finger on the third string at the second fret, the second finger on the first string, right, at the second fret, and the third finger at the third, on the second string at the third fret, okay? And you press down on those and play that one. Play that chord, all right? So we have C major, and after C major, we have D major, okay? We're going in alphabetical order, C major and D major, all right? So these are the 2 chords you should practice. Now, as a kind of a review here, we want to keep the fingers always up with the tips, right before the frets, thumb in the middle, all right? Now, In the next program, we'll deal more with these chords. We'll learn the rest of the major chords. Now, if you do want to take lessons, if you're in the San Antonio area, the number to call is 299-3133. That's the number to call for free lessons. There's no charge. I'm the instructor, and anybody is eligible from the ages 8 on up. All right, so that's basically this program. So the next program will deal more with these chords. We'll learn the rest of them.